Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I trust that you're still with us. You've been sanitizing, you've been drinking your water and making sure that you're staying safe amidst this pandemic. But I'm truly, truly grateful that irrespective of the pandemic and the repercussions thereof, we're still having critical discussions that are contributing to, the fruitfulness or yet the development of some of our goals as a country, as a nation, and as a continent as well. Joining us this afternoon, I don't want to take too much time. We are now going to the segment of sustainable water resource. We do know that water is a crucial, if not critical, resource, and there's so many discussions that are being had around water scarcity. We know that water resources have now been privatized in some of the African countries, and it's very unfortunate that a privilege or a right has now been commodified and commercialized for our good. So it's very sad that things like rights to water are now issues of commercialization, and we have to buy and pay as nations. But I'm looking forward to discussions around this. Joining us to kickstart this segment and this particular program thereof, we have Mr. Jørgen Erik Larsen, who is the Counsellor of Water Environment, Energy, Research and Innovation. This is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark, and we really look forward to use his welcome address in the segment as a benchmark and as a blueprint to lead the following or the last two panel discussions for the day. Mr. Larsen, a very warm welcome to you. We're going to welcome you in South Africa according to Bluetooth because you're not physically here, but welcome. And thank you so much in advance for your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Tabang. And I'm talking to you here from the Danish Embassy in Pretoria, where I had the privilege of being based since 2015. So honored ministers, if there's anybody around, high-level government officials, members of the diplomatic communities, private sector, NGOs, honored delegates, I think all protocol observed. Welcome to this Sustainable Water Seminar at the Sustainability Summit 2020. Thank you very much for this opportunity and this honor to open the seminar. I think it's great from the embassy. We are always looking for platforms. And when you get an invite out of the blue air or the blue water, I might say, it's just great. And what I think is even more great is when I look at this crowd, it's not like the usual suspects that attend and support, the other water-related events that I'm participating in. Yes, of course, I can see you, Lester Goldman, on the panel list. I can also see Mads Warming from Danfoss, a good familiar Danish name. I see you. But apart from a few, it's for me a new crowd of friends. And that's great. It's crucial that we broaden the awareness of water and the opportunities that it offers. It is, after all, the second most important resource that we have. Try to hold your breath, and you'll very soon discover which resource is the most important. And now we have COVID. Governments all over the world, including South Africa, are pouring trillions of rands, euros, kroner into emergency support and recovery programs to maintain crucial services, support businesses and citizens through the unprecedented lockdown periods, and soon also to stimulate economic recovery in the aftermath, or the new COVID-19 reality we all will be facing. Let's ensure that these investments will be the foundation and stepping stone to a green and sustainable future for all. That's important. The South African water sector and the water sector as such offers a huge potential for enabling economic recovery. The sector, in particular in South Africa, also offers a quick turnaround. The necessary strategic plans are in place, the National Water and Sanitation Master Plan, the necessary assessments, the National Water Infrastructure Investment Framework, never published but frequently quoted, is also in place. And not only are significant investments in the water sector needed to achieve the water and sanitation delivery goals, but it's also a very important lever in economic recovery. Public investments, and further proven by good science, water infrastructure investments in particular are crucial to stimulate growth and job creation. Good science tells us water infrastructure investments gives between 25 and 65,000 direct jobs per $1 billion invested. These numbers come from Honduras. It has a similar GDP as to South Africa. And with a water investment backlog of approximately 800 billion, South Africa needs all hands on deck. Not alone is this a challenge, but it's also a huge opportunity if we can get the investments going. If we break down the numbers by taking a quick look at comparable numbers between South Africa and Denmark. In Denmark, we have, with a fully industrialized, effectively run water sector, approximately 17,000 direct full-time jobs in the water sector. We have a population of 6 million. If a similar potential is realized in South Africa, the simple back of the envelope calculation would give South Africa 60 million inhabitants, 170,000 jobs. A simple search in Stats SA gives a current water sector employment number of approximately 13,000 jobs. There's a huge untouched potential there. And when it comes to the financing, there are many of the development financing institutes, the big fund managers that are building a thirst for water. The African Development Bank, the European Investment Bank, and the multilateral fund manager, Climate Investor II, that has a sole focus on water. Denmark is contributing to this Climate Investor II fund manager, and it's the goal of this fund manager to collect $1 billion to be invested in water projects in Africa and in the developing part of Asia. Climate Investor II is already on the lookout for projects. They have an office in Cape Town, and the CEO is South African. Watch that space. The Danish DFIs, the Investment for Development Bank, the Danish Export Support Fund, and the Danish retirement funds are all dedicated to green and sustainable investments and are very eager to invest in feasible water projects. And so are international partners, other international partners' retirement funds. So the strategies and the plans are in place. The assets have been registered and evaluated. The need is obvious. The finance is there. So what are we waiting for? I think in all simplicity, we are waiting for feasible projects with well-consolidated project owners and a reasonable balance sheet. And here I actually come to the core of my message. Unless the water losses are dramatically reduced and the revenue collection chain is intact, it'll be very difficult and closing to impossible to find feasible water projects. If water is delivered and there's no money stream coming the other way, the mandated authorities and utilities will go bankrupt, and that is exactly what is happening. We need a full cost recovery on the full water cycle, including the treatment of the wastewater, and we need the revenue ring-fenced for operations, maintenance, and capital investments. And there's no such thing as a free liter of water. It all comes at a cost. I truly acknowledge and truly admire the South African constitutional right to water, but instituting free basic water was a huge mistake. I truly acknowledge that there are many indigent in South Africa and globally that do not have, they have difficulties paying for services and they need to be subsidized. You just have to be very careful where you give the subsidy. If you offer a commodity for free, nobody acknowledges the value and it'll be wasted. If you give the subsidy as part of a social allowance and you will have to pay for the commodity, you will respect it and you will handle it with care. So full cost recovery, ring-fence the revenue and place the subsidy to the indigent at the consumer, not on the resource. And then I have to ask a question here. How can a non-revenue water level of more than 40% be acceptable? Many say that South Africa is a water-scarce country. I kind of don't agree. I think South Africa is a water-wasting country. I think we have to talk much, much more about water conservation and demand management. And the keys to that is to put a value to the resource through cost, and of course also through understanding and awareness of the resource. We need capacitated, well-resourced and motivated utilities with well-educated staff. We need to have an institutional setup that motivates high efficiency. And then, of course, as I said initially, we need a full functional revenue collection chain. In Denmark, we pursue benchmarking, strict regulation, and enforcement of regulation. The regulatory framework has to create a highly competitive environment where the utilities has to compete both on efficiency and compliance and has to comply with a price cap. If the utilities are competing only commercially on price, they will cut corners to optimize profit, which will impact the appetite for technological investment and efficiency. If they can compete only on efficiency, the service will be way too expensive. Denmark has chosen the corporatized model, where the utilities are publicly owned corporatized entities that are owned by the consumers or the municipalities that they're servicing, that are regulated and benchmarked on efficiency from one authority and pressured on pricing from another regulator. They handle the whole water cycle and they collect the revenues, and the revenues are ring-fenced towards the owners. So it's not a privatized, commercialized model, it's a corporatized model where you try to build in the strong drivers of the commercial model, but you also introduce artificial competition, and you retain the ownership to the resource to the public. It actually works. Denmark is looking at non-revenue water numbers of approximately 7 to 8%. If the utilities have numbers above 10%, they're penalized, heavily penalized. Additionally, we are also very, very efficient in terms of water use. And most surprisingly, the production price of water in Denmark is cheaper than South Africa. That really surprised me, I must say that. Not the selling price, not the tariff, but the production. And that tells something about efficiency. And I think, look at what South Africa has done. We have similar benchmarking programs. We have the drop programs, and I'm very happy to learn from the department that they are going to be rerun next year or over the next coming years. And lastly, and maybe most importantly, educate. The conservatism of an uneducated workforce is a major barrier to any developments, whereas the innovation that comes from a well-educated plumber or water operator are priceless. The blue-collar practitioners are the ones that are seeing the solutions in practice. And if they are not educated to reflect and improve and innovate, you will be missing out big. In Denmark, we have a long tradition of vocational apprenticeship, where the experienced plumber trains the unexperienced, and we additionally put huge resources into building strong vocational training institutions, both for the starters, but also for upskilling of the more experienced workforce. I truly hope and believe that water infrastructure investments are on the top of the list of the Presidential Infrastructure Committee and with Treasury. And if not, I hope they will be listening in today. I look very much forward to the discussion ahead. Thank you very much.
I'm dumbfounded. I think that's why I delayed in giving you feedback or providing a response. Just the perspective around water, it's what we drink, we use it for showering and so forth, but how you put it in terms of the modeling, saying we need a more collaborative approach and to also add value. And unfortunately, value is money. So if we don't pay for things, no matter how big or small, we will not be able to appreciate them in the long term and also steward them or manage them. And you really challenged me, not only as a South African, but also as an academic, to really think about preservation. I really appreciated what you said, though it was coming from a disciplinary approach to say, it's not that South Africa doesn't have water. We do. We're just wasteful, which is very true. Because if you go to cities and towns and major metropolitan areas, there is quite a lot of wastage. So thank you very much for highlighting very pertinent issues there, particularly around production price, issues of costing, issues of efficiency, and how this collaborative approach that we're talking about speaks to artificial compensation indirectly. So thank you so much. You've set the standard for discussions going forward, and indeed we need to make sure that government officials and representative of states are aware of this discussion and are watching. So thank you so much for your time. I really wish that you were joining some of these panel discussions, because I'm so intrigued and I really would like to hear more, but we will connect particularly on the subject matter. So thank you very much for your time, and we're happy to hear that you are in the compounds of South Africa.
Thank you very much, Stefan.
Thank you. That was Mr. Jørgen Erik Larsen, who is the Counsellor for Water, Environment, Energy, Research and Innovation from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark. Truly, truly thought-provoking points there that I believe Brandon will be able to infer into the next panel discussion: sustainable approaches to water. How do we have strategies for infrastructure development, management and maintenance as well? But just not only maintenance, monitoring most importantly. So this is the second last panel for the day. Do stay tuned. Don't touch that button, online button. We are coming to a conclusion to our day. Please don't forget to hashtag SAS Summit 2020. That is hashtag SAS Summit 2020. And do visit our 3D Expo exhibition so that you can stand a chance to win. We are receiving your questions. We are receiving your comments. And thank you very much. We will be attending to them shortly.